Hey YouTube, this is Ruchika again. So this would be my ninth video tutorial on data stage and third video tutorial on parallel jobs. So yeah, I'm making like series of videos. I want to make sure that there is continuity between my previous videos and the videos which I make. So yeah, as I said in my previous video, in this video I'll be dealing with Oracle connector. Once we are done with the Oracle, we'll just like have a quick theory part on all other stages in just one video, and then we go to the file stages, which are like the most important stages. So yeah, let's deal with this Oracle connector stage. So basically, same as ODBC connector, this Oracle connector stage can be used to perform like read, write, and load functions. So we can read the data from using this stage, and we can write the data, and we can use it as a load stage in the sense it's target. So we are just dumping the data from the source to the target. It's just using as a load stage. So yeah, the main yeah, as I was talking in my previous video, there are like about the connector stages using native drivers, so the connection is faster and the retrieval and the loading is faster with efficiency. So there are other stages too, API stages and load stages. API stages are basically application programming interface stages. They have like they have their own inbuilt driver. uh, these API stages have their own inbuilt driver, which basically interacts with the application. Application is data stage in this context because we are dealing with data stage. So yeah, just a quick description here. I'm sorry it's missing flow, but yeah, application is like something which is built on Unix server. So we have Unix server, and the database data stage tool, data stage tool is built on Unix server. So Unix server is holding one type of application in our context, which is data stage. So whenever I say application, it means that the data stage. Okay, so yeah, coming back to API stages, basically API stages has as I said, it has its own inbuilt driver which interacts with the application, data stage, using Unix server. So this inbuilt driver uses Unix server and interacts with the data stage. So basically it's like interacting, it's like the bridge between the data stage and Unix server, I can say. So that's API stage, and basically these API stages support both input and output links at a time. Whereas connector stages, it can have like only one, it can have either input links or output links. That's it. It can't be read and write at the same time. Let's see. It can have an output link, but let me see if I can have input link too at the same time. Nope, it says no, you can't use that. But I can have multiple output links which has reject links. So yeah, when we it's the same, when we convert to stream it says it doesn't support, and when we convert to reference it says it doesn't support. So same as ODBC. So yep, so that's the difference between our API stage and connector stages. So yeah, this is an interview question too. So they might ask like what are the stages you're dealing with. So when you tell like Oracle stages, they might be some of the projects they still use API stages for some reason. So they might be asking, did you deal with API stages? If so, what are the difference, what's exactly difference between API and connector stages, and why did you shift to connector stages? So yeah, you can say that basically API stages are like have their own inbuilt driver and interacts with the Unix server through data stage. I'm sorry, and basically, I'm sorry, I messed up. So basically, API stages have their own inbuilt driver. This inbuilt driver interacts with the data stage using Unix server. So whereas the connector stages, they have their native driver. They have their native driver. Every corresponding stage has its own native driver. So that's the reason the connection is faster and retrieval is faster. So because we are spending lots of millions of dollars on our project, we need efficiency, right? Faster efficiency, faster loading, and all that. So that's the reason I shifted to Oracle connector. You can any connector stage. So that's the explanation you can give. And there is also one other stage which is load stage. As I said, load stages are, I mean, like just we are dumping the data or just we are writing the data to the target. So whenever you see load stage, it means that it can be only used as a target stage. Let's see if we have some load stages. See, Infomix load. Infomix load means we can't have Infomix load as a source. It's always at the target. So yeah, that's how it works. So yep, coming to the Oracle connector, let's see its properties. So yeah, the most important thing before I get into its properties is whenever you need to have like Oracle, whenever you are able to use Oracle connector stage, before you run a job or you design a job using this Oracle connector, the database, I mean the users, which I mean we, right, users, we need to have, I mean it's not need, we must have select privileges. Admin should admin must and should give select privileges to access this set of Oracle schemas and Oracle database objects and everything. If you have no access, or if you have if you have no select privileges and all that, yeah, you can't do anything in the Oracle. So yeah, that's the first thing I'd like to tell you. And then coming to the properties of the Oracle stage. I'm sorry. So the first one is server. Server is basically, I'm sorry. Server is basically the string which I mean string or the name which we give while we have our own connection. It depends on your project. Every project has its own database name. So basically, it's like a server name. I mean, you can have like, if it's real-time project, you'll have it's in a parameterized form, like server, username, password, and all these will be in the parameterized. I'll show that while I design you in job how we use like parameters. So yeah, for now just go to the theory part. So server, it's like a string or the name of the database which you have given yourself or your company or project chosen. And username, basically it's a username, like it's a thing which you are assigned, or which you need to use if you need to get connected to the Oracle database. And the password, obviously, no need to explain that. And use external authentication means, it means that this authentication requires that the user must be registered in Oracle and identified as a user who is like authenticated by the operating system. These all, the first three should be in parameterized form. So yep, and then coming to the read mode. Read mode, basically, if it's like if you're writing your own SQL statement, like select star from EMB where department ID is equal to 10, then you can choose select. If you're pulling the data, or if you're sometimes running like store procedures and cursor functions and open and close statements and all that things, you can just click PLSQL. So when you choose this PLSQL block, so you need to have your own PLSQL block structure over here. And yeah, if you want your I mean, if you have already written your PLSQL in a file, so yeah, you can just give the path or something. So yeah, that's how it works. I mean, basically they use stored procedures. So yeah, now read mode select, right? Because if you want to have like SQL statements, then yeah, this generates SQL at runtime. It's pretty cool option. You can say no or yes. If you say yes, basically you're telling data stage that I'm not writing the SQL statement, just do it yourself. And if you say no, it means that data stage, you don't worry about the SQL statement, I'm writing it myself. That's it. So that's simple. If you select no, the select statement is highlighted, so you must write this is a mandatory field, all the star, and this indicates mandatory fields. But if you select yes, which means that you are telling data stage to write SQL statement itself, then the table name should be given, because it needs to know which schema and which table name it needs to be extra, I mean, we need to extract the data from, right? So yep, these are the things which you need not worry about. Table scope, entire table. Basically it's always entire table. It means that basically you're telling, you're choosing either entire table or just making a single partition. If single partition, you choose your own partition name as per your node. And if you use single sub partition, yeah, you need to use sub partition name. I mean, you might be wondering why is she not explaining everything, because it creates confusion. I'm explaining the most important things, and the most these in any interview I haven't, and I have never seen people asking, did you deal with table scope in Oracle connector stage? No, it doesn't make sense, because it all depends on the requirement, right? Because sometimes we need not use all the options. It all depends. Basically this tutorial is for beginners, or like somewhere around beginner to mid-level. So yeah, that's the reason I'm just like making it more than little brief. Minimize this. And enable quote identifiers. Enable quote identifiers is like, it's basically for maintaining the case sensitivity of Oracle schema object names. Quote identifiers is like, by default what happens is Oracle database converts all the like field names and column names, I mean records and all the object names and everything to uppercase before it matches the names against the existing ones. So though it converts all into uppercase letters, even though we give like when we give like find this or that in small case, mixed case, it doesn't really matter, because when you choose enable quote identifiers, no, let me just tell it in a one sentence. If you want the object names use or I mean, if the Oracle object names use all lowercase or mixed case, and then you must specify the names as it appeared in the object names. But if the Oracle thing specifies it in the uppercase letters, you need not worry about that. But yeah, if it specifies in lowercase or mixed letters, yeah, then you need to specify the names exactly as they appear. Let's say like you have Adam. Okay, let's say you have Adam, and you have smaller a, capital D, and smaller a and capital M. So when you see that in our Oracle database object, you need to have exactly the same, like small a, capital D, small a, capital M. So yeah, that's one. Otherwise, if in this case, if you want Oracle to make sense, then click on this enable quote identifiers. I mean, you can either choose the manually entering the quotation marks, or you can just quote identifiers. You are just saying it as yes. It means that it reads as a character. It doesn't really matter about now the case sensitivity. Okay. And now yeah, SQL, because we selected SQL, and yeah, table name, so this it's all disabled now. Okay, we are done with this. Okay, just a moment. Okay, now enable partition reads. Enable partition reads in the sense to read the data from multiple partitions or just single partition. So if it's no, it means that the data is not partitioned, and we are just reading it from the single partition. But if we select yes, see all these are like highlighted. So basically it's asking Oracle connector stage, it has its own partitioning method. So let's see what are those. We need not get into details, I'm just like explaining in a sentence or two. So yeah, these are the different partitioning read methods in which Oracle connector stage. So row ID range is like basically when we have like there is a row ID pseudo column. So whenever that is included in the Oracle table, I mean basically it's included in every table. So yeah, that row ID is identified uniquely, and based on that row ID range, the partitioning is done. And row ID hash or round robin, yeah, hash and round robin, it's basically the same thing. All the key values based on the hash. If you remember my like sixth video about the partitioning techniques, yeah, you can remember that. So yeah, hash and round robin based on the row ID. And modulus is just a calculation, And minimum and maximum range, basically connector, you are asking connector to calculate the minimum and maximum value for a specified column, and then divide the calculated range into subranges, and then these subranges are assigned to each partition or node, or yeah, anyway. So yeah, that's the thing. And this oracle partition is like basically the connector determines the number of partitions in the table, and then configures the number of nodes to match to that number of table partitions. So basically the connector associates each node with one table partition. So that's how it works. And now coming to the transaction isolation level. Isolation level is, it's a property to configure how the connector manages statements in a transaction. Statement in the sense like read, or read committed, serializable, or read only. These are the statements, different statements. So we are basically configuring the data, Oracle connector stage to read the statements as per our requirement. So when we hit read committed, what does that mean is each select statement that runs in this transaction, this is the transaction is like isolation, record count, and this thing. So when this read committed, each select statement that runs in this transaction sees the rows that were committed when the current statement started. This select statement runs in the transaction after seeing the rows that were already committed in the sense already processed through. So once it basically sees how many rows and what all the things processed through, and then it allows the other statements, other SQL statements to read. Serializable means the select statement in this transaction sees only the rows that were committed. Only the rows that were committed. When you have like read committed, it sees all the rows, but now serializable, it sees only the rows that are committed. Then coming to read only basically it's same thing as serializable, but we can't have like insert, update, and delete actions are not allowed in this transaction. So yeah, no interviewer has these kind of things. Yeah, so the default values record count are like you're basically saying how many records need to be processed in one thing and all that. So next is a mark end of wave. I'm not sure, I'm sorry guys, I was trying to explain it, but yeah, I'm not really sure about that, so I'm sorry about that. So let's leave mark end of wave. No, don't worry about that. So we are done with this. Size and record count properties in previous thing. Okay. Yeah. Array size and record count properties go together, because array size specifies the number of records to include in each batch that the database should process. But the record count, it specifies the number of records to be passed in each transaction. So it's pretty much related, right? That makes a lot of sense, right? So prefetch row count, and when a SQL statement or select statement is running, the connector fetches the number of rows that is specified by the array size, whatever it may be, whatever the size you specify. And in addition to that, if you want to have some rows being fetched before, along with that, you can just have like prefetch row count, any number. So yeah, that's how it works. And prefetch buffer size is like prefetch row count. If you say like 10, so enter an estimate size of buffer size, like some records, just some records in KB. Based on the types of lengths of the columns that are defined and everything, yeah, you can just specify some KB, kilobytes size. And yeah, you really need not worry about these references and b-file context and all that stuff. So yeah, the default thing is default for array size is 2000 and 1 and 0. These are the default values. Sometimes crazy interviewers, they ask what's the default values for record count and array size. So basically process, okay, let me deal first with this run before and all these things. what this process warning is, if you select no, it means that you're saying if you have any warning messages, don't consider it as fatal errors and don't abort the job, or don't stop extracting the data, or don't stop writing the data to the next stage. If you're really worried about any warning messages and all that, yeah, you can just say yes. So even if there is like one record count less or one decimal thing, and I mean anything, it just stops, and Oracle connector status pops up some error. So yep, so that's the thing. And yeah, truncation, it's something similar to this, so you need not at all worry about that. And run before and after SQL statements. Yeah, you have two options. What does it mean? It says, the statement says it all, right? Basically this property configure like a SQL statement before processing the data. It's asking whether to process whether to have like SQL statements run or before and after that. So yeah, and now if you when you say yes, see, all these things popped up, right? Yeah, it's basically before SQL statement, so we are just writing our own select statement or something. And if you want some SQL statement to be read from a file, click yes. If not, no, obviously. Yeah, and if you're basically saying that if the before SQL statement is run, which we write in this thing, is failed, then don't then just stop the job, then just the fail, then the job, I mean the source thing should fail. So yeah, we're just saying that things. So before and after are similar, just things. And and before SQL node statement are uh, basically it's like the connector runs the specified SQL statement once before any data is processed to the each node. It's a specified SQL statement. So before processing that on each node, yeah, basically you are telling that before processing it on each node, just run this statement, or run this statement when it's on the node. And this is after, once it gets off the node, then run this statement. And same this if it's file, and if it's like if you want to have like if you want to have successful before SQL node statement, then just click on yes, or otherwise no, because if it's not successful, it just like aborts a job. And yep, that's pretty much about it. And so what does that mean is manage application failure over to yes or no. When a database connection is enabled for like if any application failover, or if any application failover happens, what happens is the Oracle client itself creates its own transparent application failure, which is called TAF. And then it starts connecting itself, and will not know that. So but if you want to know that what's happening, it doesn't add to the message log that something is like Oracle connecting failed, and the Oracle client is connecting it transparently to the server and all that. It doesn't show up. So yeah, to avoid that confusion, you can just click yes, and see number of retries. So number of retries are, you're basically saying that how many times the Oracle client need to be connected, or connection fails, how many times it needs to get connected, number of times to attempt to reconnect. So yeah, that number of retries, and the time between retries, if like when the connection fails and when it's restarted, when it restarted and again failed, when do you want to try it immediately, or do you want to try like after 5 minutes or something like that. So yeah, that's the other thing. And replay before SQL statement and before nodal statement is like when we have like before SQL statement here, if you say no, see it these get enabled, right? So yeah, so that's what happens. It by default takes this no, because we didn't have SQL statements over here. Yeah, but if we have like run before and after SQL statements, it means that if after the connection, after several attempts of reconnecting, we are asking connector stage to run this SQL before and after SQL statements, because we're not sure whether it's success or not, right? So yeah, we are just running, if you want to just run a SQL statement, yeah, then this, and if you want to run nodal and all that stuff, yeah, then it's this. That's it. So yeah, really you need not worry about this, guys. Yeah, the other thing, let me just see, when you want to test something, like if its connection is successful or not, let me just show you an example. Okay, no. Okay, so I have this mandatory fields filled, right? So if you want to know, okay, so if you don't test your connection, and if you do everything, and when you run the job it says that some connection failure, it doesn't, it's pretty waste of time, right? So when you have all your things, these should be in always parameterized form. So when you have all these things filled up, mandatory fields filled up, just hit on test connection here. It says the connection was successful, right? So yeah, you can just check it here. You can just check it here itself, you need not waste your time. And then columns, just dump in your columns. So I chose EMP table, I guess. So let me choose, you know all this, I'm sure, but just checking it if my connection is. So once you dump all this, yep, just go to here and then view data. So yep, it's working. So the connection was successful, really. And then yeah, it's buffer size, and I'll explain it later. So that's it in your Oracle connector stage. So that's all you need to worry about. So yep, that's it, guys. That's it with this Oracle connector stage. I'll I'll design a simple job, and I'll design a simple job. Okay, let's make it in this video itself. I thought I'd make it in next video, but yeah, just make it in this video. So let me just choose some transformer stage or any other stage, it doesn't matter, but transformer is like a pretty easy stage, because we did not we there are a lot of functions in this stage, but we need not worry about giving, because yeah, we are just testing it, right? So yeah, let me just put some data set over here, because that's okay. No data set. Let me just do sequential file, because we learned about sequential file a little in server jobs, right? So yeah, let me see. Yep, everything is in place, and yeah, these need to be parameterized. So let me just transformer, and just clicking on this and pulling out all the columns. Just drag it, click on this and just drag it to this columns. And if you don't want all these columns to be transferred, just like hit and then drag it, or just hit on control and select the columns and then drag it. That's it. And I don't think I have a file over file in my, okay, let me just C and DS practice / something like, okay, Oracle .txt. Okay, so just compile it first. Yep, so it's compiled. We saved our job, it's compiled. I probably should have saved first itself. So yep, now it's run. So yeah, we have like something 14 or 15 columns, 14 or 15 records. So yeah, those records should be passed on to this, because we didn't do any transformations in the transformer stage. So yeah, it's running. This means that it's running. So yep, it's done. So let me go to the director and see if we have any warnings or anything. Yep, here is a director. So I didn't name my job, so just click on this. Wow, we have a lot of warnings. So let's see what are all those warnings. See, it says the warnings are all in the sequential file stage, which is our target stage. So let's just click on this and see what it's saying. When validating export schema at field ename, exporting nullable field without null handling properties. Okay, I get it, because that's a problem with sequential stage. Yeah, because we choose the sequential stage as a target, it's saying that there are some null values in the Oracle connector stage table. I mean the table which we choose, they have some null values, but the thing is sequential file stage does not accept any null values, so we need to handle that null. It's saying that since we didn't handle that null, these are all the warnings. So that's it. When I tell about the file stages in the sequential stage, I'll say you how to handle the null. So always when you just want to like have it just basic thing and test your job, you can go for dataset, because that's pretty easy and you don't need to have format and all that stuff. That's pretty easy, except that the extension should be .ds. That's it. So that's all guys, that's all in this video, and in my next video I'll just like cover db2 and some Teradata functions, and that's it. Informatics, I haven't worked on Informatics or Netezza or Cbase anything, so I'll just like cover the db2 and Teradata utilities. That's it, just the theory part, probably another 30 minutes of video, and then we're gonna jump it into file stages. I'll do it like probably dataset first and then sequential file. Sequential file should be in 2 parts because that's pretty long stage. Yeah, and thank you so much guys, thank you for watching, and most importantly, thanks for your appreciation. I have been seeing your comments and your likes, and yeah, a few people are subscribing to my YouTube channel, so that's I'm very much overwhelmed by your response. Thank you guys, and I'm working hard on to upload more tutorials on these stages. Thank you so much for watching.